Rashin Soodman grew up in Iran, where her dad was a pastor. He was also, in the eyes of Iran's Islamic government, an apostate. Life was pretty normal for Rashin until one day when she was 13 years old. She was outside their house playing.
A car came and parked in front of our house, and we didn't know who they are. But after a few 10 minutes, I remember they invited my father to sit in their car, and even I didn't hear the conversation, but I felt it's something wrong. It is, and then sense of fear.
Jesus never promised his followers an easy path. In fact, he told his disciples that the world would hate them. He sent them out as sheep among wolves. Jesus' words came true in the life of the apostles, and they're still coming true today in the lives of his followers around the world. Join host Todd Nettleton as we hear their inspiring stories and learn how we can help. Right now on the Voice of the Martyrs Radio Network.
Welcome again to the Voice of the Martyrs Radio. My name is Todd Nettleton. If you have listened to VOM Radio for any length of time at all, you know that we love to tell you the stories of our brothers and sisters in the growing churches inside the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's a place where God is doing amazing things, calling people to faith in Christ. It is also a place where persecution can be very intense. So we like to let you know what it's like for believers there so that you can pray effectively for them. This week, we're going to hear a story from inside Iran. Pastor Hussein Soodman was born into a Muslim family. He came to faith in Christ. He was ultimately put on trial and found guilty of apostasy by an Iranian court. They literally told him, you can continue to follow Jesus and you will be executed, or you can return to Islam. Just become a Muslim again, and you can go back home to your family. Pastor Soodman boldly said, I am a follower of Jesus. And for that crime, he was executed. Today, we're going to explore that story with his daughter, Rashin. I recorded this interview on the road in England in 2018, back before anyone had ever heard of COVID-19, back when getting on an airplane was a lot easier than it is today. But I wanted to revisit this story for you now because it's such a powerful example of how persecution affects entire families. And especially as we approach the International Day of Prayer for Persecuted Christians, which is coming up on November the 7th, I hope this will equip you to pray more fervently for our persecuted brothers and sisters, including the sons and daughters of those who may be facing direct, intense persecution. Rashin was 13 years old when her father was executed, and I asked her what memories she had of him before that day.
The church was in the basement of our house, so I could see the way he was ministering to other people, especially people who would come to our house and ask their questions. And some about Christian faith. So my father patiently would answer all their questions as well. And it was not just asking their question; he was care about them. So he had caring heart and loving heart. And I remember he had a bicycle in our house, and my father had pain in his leg, and he would cycle miles and hours to see one person.
Are there things you remember in your family, like, him reading you stories or him giving you hugs or tucking you in at night? Are there things like that you remember about him?
He would spend time individually with each one of us. He would take me to coffee shop or restaurant and had a quality time with me as well. Although he had quality time with the whole family, but it was important for him to have a quality time with each one of us as his children. So that is what it's important for me when I remember him as my father.
Do you think he knew or had a sense that he might not be able to be there when you were 20 or 25 or when you got married? Do you think he had any kind of a sense that maybe his life was going to be short?
I think he knew because he was very keen and for us to be very independent, and always he would tell us, or the way he was treated us about, or he tried to raise us as a children to be independent. And sometimes he would send us, my sister and myself, three children together to a distant place with the taxi. He was not with us. He made sure that the taxi driver is safe, but he would send us by ourselves with just taxi driver, for instance. And I think now when I'm thinking about those moments, grow in more, being more mature, in our life. And
what do you remember about the faith lessons that he taught you, or how he taught you what it means to follow Jesus and how you live out that faith on a daily basis?
so we had our family praying meeting every night, so that was really important for him, and no one could cancel, even if we had a guest. Even if we had a guest, as I mentioned. So we had a church in our house. Sometimes we had other members or other people, they were welcome to join us, but he never canceled. So, and then he will always teach us about God and encourage us to read our Bibles and told us stories about Jesus Christ. And what was incredible about him, he told us about Jesus with the stories.
So he didn't just pastor his congregation, he pastored his family as well.
Exactly, he pastored. Exactly, yeah.
We're talking today on Voice of the Martyrs Radio with Rashin Sudmand. Her father was martyred in Iran in 1990. Did you understand, even as a girl, that what he was doing was dangerous in Iran? Did you know that, well, my dad's a pastor, this could be dangerous for our family?
Actually, not till I was 11, because everything was okay, and even the church had this freedom to. Actually, I didn't sense fear, or I don't know if there was something, but I think everything happened from when I turned to 11. And then, because one day I was playing in our yard and with other friends, and I remember a car came and parked in front of our house, and we didn't know who they are. We were thinking maybe they are some of those people came to in order for him to minister to them. But after a few 10 minutes, I remember they invited my father to sit in their car, and even I didn't hear the conversation, but I felt it's something wrong. It is, and then sense of fear. That was the first time he was arrested. So he was arrested for a month, and then after that, after 1 month, they released him. They warned him, and they gave him 2 weeks time to think about his life, and they told him whether you are going to stop your ministry and deny your faith, or we will kill you. And that's the serious warning. And because they couldn't stop my father.
So do you remember when he came home after being arrested that month? Do you remember what happened when he came through the door, or what you thought when you thought, oh, Dad's home?
Yes, we were waiting for him because we heard that they are going to release him. It was around 2:00, and we were actually preparing house for him and cleaning. And when he came to the house, we were all crying, and we ran towards him. So I remember the first person actually ran to my father was my oldest brother. He was actually cleaning the yard, and then so because my father was very clean man, and he wanted everything be tidy, and so we were preparing house for him. So I clearly remember the moment he came to the house, and we were really happy, and we were thinking, telling to myself, I hope this is the last time that we are not having him for this such a long time.
Unfortunately, it wasn't the last time.
No, unfortunately.
One of the things, as I've been reading and preparing to come and talk to you, the church leaders above your father in the Assembly of God Church said, maybe it's time for you guys to leave Iran. You've been arrested, you're having trouble, there's more persecution coming. Maybe you guys should go outside of Iran. Your dad said, no, I'm not going to leave. Tell us a little bit about that. And he made some really powerful statements about why he was staying.
As I mentioned, after the first time he was arrested, everything was changed, and we didn't have that freedom anymore. And then he went to other brothers in Tehran and shared all the information, all his experiences with the brother Haq and other brothers.
And I want to, just for our listeners, give them some context. Brother Haik was the leader of the Assembly of God Church in Iran, and he also later would be martyred for his faith. So your dad went to Tehran and sat down with Brother Haik and said, here's what's happened.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Brother Haik, they realized that this is serious ultimatum, so that they offered him help, and they told him, we can help you to escape the country with your family. But that's my father's response. Do you want me to read it?
Please.
Yeah. And my father replied, actually, I am a follower of the great shepherd of the sheep, our Lord Jesus Christ, and I am ready to sacrifice my soul for my sheep. For me to escape from this persecution would cause the hearts of my flock to become cold and weak. I never want to be a bad example for them. So I am ready to go to prison again, and if necessary, to give my life. Yeah, he said that, and he left Tehran and he went to Mashhad. And while my father was in Tehran, they called to my mom and asked for him, and they told him, tell him to come to us this day. And my father immediately left Tehran and he came to Mashhad. He went house and left his suitcases, and I was the only one with my mom in the house. And he told me, Rashin, please make a tea. I'll come back in 2 hours. And then, so I was preparing tea for him in order for him to come and I can help him and welcome him. But he didn't come back that day. After 2 weeks, we heard that chilling news that he was executed for his faith in Mashhad prison.
We're talking today on Voice of the Martyrs Radio with Rashin Soodmand. Her father was martyred in Iran. So, Rashin, you heard after the fact. There was never a time where they said the court has ruled your father's going to be executed, or, come and visit, or a court hearing or anything like that. Was that unusual, or is that just how things work in Iran?
That's how things work in Iran. Yeah, we had chance to see my father twice. Yeah, one when he was in prison for 1 month, and then when he was 2 weeks before his execution, we had chance to see him once. And then, so I remember the last time we saw him in the prison.
What do you remember about that, or what did he say during that visit?
Well, yeah, so it was joyful and painful time because as 13 years old, I was thinking why I need to have my father with me, and why should I? ask permission for other people to let me to see my father. So it was very joyful as well and painful. And so we just share our experiences, and we told him the stories we have about our school. And my father was just encouraging us to continue our study, and encourage us to study and look after my mom as well. So it was just very normal and daily conversation. So he didn't want actually go to the details what is happening to him, because we were small children, and and he didn't want to upset my mom as well.
So what was that visit like as far as the setup? Was he on one side of glass or one side of bars, or were you all in a room? Did you get a chance to give him a hug?
Yes,
or
we were in the same room. So no, it was not the glass, separated us.
Okay.
No, it was, we went to a room,
So do you think at that time that he knew, I'm going to be executed or I'm going to be killed? Or do you think he thought, this is like last time, they're going to hold me for a while and then I'll go home?
No, he knew that. While we were leaving the prison, the room that we met him, but my youngest sister, she said, I think she asked me to look back, and my father was he was in tears, and he didn't want us to see, and he was trying to remove it with his hand, and I think my sister, she saw it clearly, and I think because he knew that's the last visit. And also after his martyrdom, we heard from some police guard or religion police that because another time police, one man from prison came to our house and asked us to go to that place because my father wanted to visit us, and we went to that place, and we were waiting for 2 hours in order to see him, but didn't happen. And after that they told us he can't see you today, and we will let you know for another time. And we were wondering, so what was the reason, purpose for that visit? And after his martyrdom, we heard that on that day he was in another room, and they were showing him his family. It was kind of warn him that, so you have an option. This is your family and your small children and your blind wife, and this is your fate. Now you have to choose.
So it was one final test for your father.
Exactly.
Here's your family. They need you. Or you can go on with this crazy Christian stuff, or you go home and take care of your family.
Yeah.
And so your father made a choice.
Exactly, yeah. He made a choice.
So when you think about that now, what do you think about your father's choice? He chose Christ. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud to be his daughter. Actually, he chose Christ. Although I don't want to deny or ignore the painful side we went through and all the difficulties and vulnerabilities so we face during that time, especially. So we were small children with my blind mom, because my father was not the only father, he was a great help for my mom as well. Even on that time, although it was difficult for us, but we were very proud of him, and now I am proud of him that he chose Christ, because Christ is life, and he knew that God is going to look after his family.
We're talking today on Voice of the Martyrs Radio with Rasheen Soodmand. She is the daughter of Pastor Hossein Soodmand, who was martyred in Iran. How did you find out, Rasheen, that your father had been executed?
I was in school, and I came home, and no one was at home. And then after 1 hour, that was not normal, was weird. So usually my mom had to be at home when we were coming from school, but it was strange that no one is at home. After 1 hour they came, because they went to the graveyard. On that day they informed my family, and Brother Hike and other pastors, he was executed. So they immediately went to the graveyard. So when they came, when they entered to the house, even because they were wearing black and clothes, and then I just immediately I realized that something happened to my dad. And then everybody came to our house and told us the.
So did Pastor Hike talk to you about that? About, your dad's a hero, your dad has done this amazing thing. What did he say about it?
Yeah, brother, the first person he informed us, told us, was one of our neighbor who was Christian, and we were very close together. So she told us, and then everybody came, and Brother Hike. It was strange atmosphere, because it was between sadness and happiness. So sadness, because no one expect that, even churches expect that happen. And I remember all the people were crying, and Brother Hike was sad because he lost his friend, his colleague, and also as a family we lost our father. But I clearly remember he would say, "I'm jealous of him." I'm jealous of him. I had to be the first one to give my life to Jesus. And it was, I could see the regret in his face. Yeah. And then he was preaching very boldly and powerful. I think that his preaching still exists in the first day that we heard about my father martyrdom.
That's Rasheen Sudman telling us what it was like when she was just 13 years old and found out that her father had been martyred for his faith. I know all of us who are parents, just naturally, we care about our kids' safety. We care about their future. Rasheen's life reminds us that ultimately God is in control, and He loves our children even more than we do. He has promised that He will take care of the fatherless. He will take care of the widow. We can trust Him with our families and follow His calling, even if it means danger for us personally. If you missed any of Rasheen's story, I hope you'll listen to the entire conversation again at vomradio.net. Maybe you know somebody else who would be touched by her story. Why not send them a link to vomradio.net or share the podcast link wherever you listen to podcasts. I want to also encourage you to take advantage of the resources available for this year's International Day of Prayer for Persecuted Christians. That's coming up on November the 7th. This is a very significant day for the church. Remember, prayer is the first request of our persecuted family members. When we go and visit them and say, "Hey, how can we help you?" the first thing they ask us to do is pray for them. That's why the International Day of Prayer for Persecuted Christians is so significant and so important. You can find all of the resources that we've got at vomradio.net/IDOP for International Day of Prayer. We have got a short film that you can show in your church or Bible study group. We've got downloadable resources, church bulletin inserts, guided prayer slides to help people know how to pray. There's even a sermon outline if you're a pastor or a teacher looking to tie this into your presentation that weekend. All of that, again, the website vomradio.net/IDOP for International Day of Prayer. We'll also give you a link in the show notes for this episode. that's not the end of Rashin's story. We're going to pick this conversation back up next week. Rashin experienced the death of other Christian leaders in Iran, people that she knew personally and was close to. And yet she continues to serve Jesus and to use her story of loss to point others to him. I know you're going to be blessed by the rest of our conversation with Rashin, so please be back with us next week right here on the Voice of the Martyrs Radio.